What's Trending, presented by Tim Daly Nissan, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Then number 23 BYU football, now number 18, beats West Virginia 38-24 on Friday night at LaVell Edwards Stadium. The Cougars are 5-0 for a second consecutive season. Awesome. And even though BYU wins by 14, you don't cover what the expectation was. And there was a lot of ugh amidst the wow. So we're going to discuss the good and the bad, beginning with Kalani Sitake, who understandably had mixed emotions about that win.
I'm glad we got the win, and there's a lot of things that we can work on. I need to do a better job as a head coach, getting these guys ready to play all 16 minutes, and be careful with the football. You know, I don't know. I mean, so the win is good, and we can be happy about that, but it's going to be clouded by a lot of the mistakes that we made in all three phases. So we just have to be better, and we'll figure out a way to make it work. I'm frustrated about it, but I'm glad that we were able to get the win. I mean, this game should have never been close from the beginning, and those are the reasons why. We gave up just easy 2 touchdowns right here, and then I like the fight in the guys, but, man, it just wasn't consistent enough. We've seen adversity last week, and we saw it again tonight. I'm just sick of seeing it, though. You know what I mean? So, especially when it's stuff that we did to ourselves, and then all it takes is 2 hands on the ball and being smart with the football and not throwing it right to them. You know, all these mistakes and all that stuff said, we won the game. Let's go celebrate. I don't want to ever sit there and take winning for granted, but the coach in me is like really upset right now.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel, Kalani.
I like it.
Up and down, positive, negative, certainly good and bad in that win over West Virginia, as just pointed out by the head ball coach, Kalani Sitake. So with that in mind, Jason, let's discuss the good and the bad from BYU's most recent performance against West Virginia in that 38-24 win. Beginning with good thing number 1, Bear Bachmeier and the BYU passing attack. We alluded to it a little bit with Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston earlier. What do you make of that performance in its own little box?
Well, I think one of the things that really stands out, certainly Bear with a career-high 351 yards passing. He also had a career high at halftime, as did Chase Roberts with a new career high in receiving yards at halftime. So a lot of the heavy lifting was done in the first half. But I love how they were going and downfield. They were looking downfield. You obviously had Parker Kingston finishing with 4 receptions for 111 yards. I just like the maturation that we are seeing from Bear Bachmeier. And yes, he had a couple of turnovers. He was responsible for 2 turnovers. I'm sure we're going to get into that here in the good and the bad. But in terms of what he did good, I think it is another step forward, even with the turnovers, and maybe I'll make that point coming up a little bit later when we get to that.
Sure. We were so ready for BYU's passing attack to steal a phrase from earlier in the show, be unhitched or unhooked, like let it loose a little bit. First play of the game, you find Chase Roberts deep down the field. He goes up and mosses a defensive back for a big catch. Doesn't result in any points for BYU, but it kind of set the tone for the night. I really liked how aggressive Aaron Roderick was using Bear Bachmeier in the pass game. 351 is a very nice number, and I believe that takes him, 48 yards over 1,000. He's 1,048 yards on the season. Bear Bachmeier's completing almost 69% of his passes, 7 touchdowns. We'll get to the interception in just a second as part of the turnovers, but still, that 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, really good. Hasn't been sacked that many times either, which means the line has held up, which plays into the passing attack as well. A lot of good there. A lot of good there.
Look, there is no other, in my opinion, there is no other grade that you can give Bear Bachmeier through his first 5 games other than an A+. He has done everything and more that you have asked of him and that we expected of him. In fact, I think by most accounts, he has exceeded everybody's expectations on what you thought a true freshman who had just come into the program in May, who, by the way, came in to be the backup to Jake Retzloff, and then is named the starter in fall camp, and then comes into the season and learning on the fly. what he's done is remarkable.
So it brings up another point that the national analysts are taking notice. During Fox's pregame show, Brady Quinn and Matt Leinart, a couple of former high-level quarterbacks at the collegiate level, said that Bear Bachmeier is the most impressive true freshman quarterback in the country. Of all true freshmen, not redshirt freshmen, but true freshman quarterbacks across the country, he has the highest quarterback efficiency rating as well. That certainly plays into why they are saying things like that. Yes, Bear Bachmeier has been outstanding in the first 5 games. I know that BYU hasn't faced the competition they're about to face in the next 7. But wow, I mean, they are letting him do a little bit more each game. West Virginia, not a great defense, and BYU took advantage of that through the pass game specifically. And I'll add this. It's good to see Parker Kingston back to his usual self.
Yeah.
He told me he felt normal, like I'm back. He said he started to feel that way in the Colorado game, but West Virginia solidified that. His speed is back. His confidence is back. I don't think that we're going to see anybody else back to return punts for the rest of the season unless something goes terribly wrong with Parker there. I think he's earned the right to be back there again, and he's doing some really nice work in that passing game.
Yeah, and he was my guy when we were in the offseason still, and we were talking about breakout guys. I said Parker Kingston, as a receiver, is my breakout player on offense.
All right, well, after the game, I spoke with both Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston about how they felt they were able to exploit that West Virginia pass defense.
I mean, we knew it was going to happen game by game. We just want to keep throwing the ball, keep getting confidence in each other with Bear and the receivers, and we clicked on a lot of plays today, and we started off strong. I think that's the biggest thing, is starting off fast with that deep ball, and then getting him rolling, getting him the confidence to keep throwing it up.
Yeah, I mean, we always have passes in, and I think A-Rod opened up the playbook for Bear and let Bear loose, and I mean, he made great throws, and it just shows that we can throw the ball no matter who we go against, so it's going to be a fun season from here on out.
Okay, as you look at those numbers, both had 4 catches, both over 100 yards. Love that. That happened one time last year, but good to see that number back in a reality for BYU football, and then the 2 total touchdowns for Parker. Okay, with that in mind, compartmentalized, Jason. Now we swing it to bad thing number 1.
Yeah, and it was definitely bad thing number 1. It was, unfortunately, the main thing that everyone took away from the game, and that's injuries.
Absolutely.
And there are injuries that hurt you, and then there are injuries to probably your 2 best defensive players. And Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly both left the game. It appears that the injury to Jack Kelly is more serious than what we saw with Isaiah Glasker. But after the game, this was head coach Kalani Sitake giving a brief update on both.
I felt good about it because towards the end of the locker room, he was actually feeling pretty good. So we'll evaluate tomorrow for him and Glasker. But yeah, that's game of football. Sometimes guys get banged up, and we'll see how banged up he is and if he can even go next week or not.
Okay.
So that was obviously in reference to Jack Kelly. Before that, earlier in his postgame comments, he had made mention that it was mostly precautionary for Glasker. So it sounds like if needed, he could have come back in, but there was really no need to put him in harm's way. So certainly that's the number 1 bad thing, injuries.
Yeah, that's the big rain cloud. And there were a few rain clouds over the actual stadium during the game. But that one hurts. But bear with me a little bit, because I'm going to spin this based off of Kalani Sitake's comments. At one point, it was straight doom and gloom, okay? Thunderstorm of the century. When you watch Jack Kelly walk off the field, the way that he was holding his arm with the trainers, it did not look good. Okay? And speculation was just running rampant through all of the text threads and people conversing on the sidelines, certainly the fans at the game and watching across the country. But based on what Coach Sitake said and what I saw on the sideline, which was Jack Kelly not spending significant time in the locker room. This is very different than what I saw from JoJo Phillips, who has a shoulder injury and is out until we think probably early November. JoJo sustained a much more significant injury and had to have surgery. He posted about it on his social media with broken collarbone, okay? So the fact that Jack Kelly did not had to spend significant time in the locker room was immediately a positive sign. He wanted to stay on the sideline. He wanted to be there. At one point, he was out of the sling that he had on at the end of the game. Yep. Okay, so we don't know what the specific injury is. At least we're not going to state that outside of speculating that it feels like he could be back sooner than later. Define that how you will.
That's the hope.
Okay? We all want him to play against Utah. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. But it doesn't seem like this is an injury for Jack Kelly, based on those comments, that's going to keep him out for a significant amount of time. And I'd be surprised, based on what you talked about with Isaiah Glasker, if we don't see him in some capacity even against Arizona.
Right.
Yeah. We'll see. When the injury report comes out midweek.
Right.
We'll see.
Look, and later today at noon, Mountain Time, there'll be the press conference. We'll see if there's any update that Kalani gives us in terms of either of those players. All right. Bad. Let's get back to some good. How about good number two? 2 takeaways by the BYU defense.
Oh, loved what Trey Alexander did. And some of his teammates were giving him a hard time about unhitching the trailer. You got to house that, man. But it took a penalty to tackle him to prevent him from running that back for a pick 6. Like that. I like the fact that Tanner Wall got his first interception as well. There was some havoc and some chaos and guys being in the right place at the right time, trusting their preparation. Yes, I like the 2 takeaways by BYU's defensive backs specifically, or at least the secondary. It was good to see those guys get involved again and take advantage of a depleted West Virginia quarterback room. Yeah. So, do we want to see more? Do we want to see more? Yeah, sure. But I didn't feel like the defense, it's not like we had to be super critical of their performance, Jason. They were dealing with a couple of bad short turnaround, like quick change fields and things like that. People are going to point to the 24 points. Outside of a weird last drive with some backups in, I thought the defense was really, really good.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch this defense not just make plays, but make plays that sort of turn momentum. And with the Alexander pick, that's one of those ones that did it, because it was able to get BYU on the board, and it just this defense is so opportunistic, and they make these back-breaking plays for the opponent that it's been so much fun to watch them game in and game out. You're like, when is it going to happen? Because we've seen one in just about every game.
Yeah, they will create havoc.
Yes,
more often than not, we will see BYU's defense create turnovers.
Yes.
It's a great sign. It's a consistent sign from last season carrying into this one. Now, what has been inconsistent is, or at least as far as the West Virginia game goes, a surprise is we kind of gave it back, right?
Turnovers, yeah. Three turnovers, 3 giveaways by the BYU offense. Yeah. You had an interception thrown by Bear Bachmeier. You had a pitch that got deflected and ultimately then called a fumble, recovered inside the 5 at the 3-yard line by West Virginia. I mean, honestly, you just sort of credit the defense for making a play, and, it stinks that it happened, especially the way it did. And then, obviously, Javessa Damuni with the fumble. So you had 3 turnovers. And again, I saw somebody put on, it was like a headline or something, that BYU survives West Virginia. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. BYU was never in doubt of losing this game. At no point during this game was West Virginia almost about to win this game. They were never in this game despite any of the turnovers. That's the good thing, is the turnovers did not hurt BYU in terms of the game being in doubt or potentially losing the game. So that's the positive that comes out of it, is that you were still able to overcome them and win a game comfortably that you were never going to lose. The other part about the giveaways, specifically with Bears, the thing that impressed me the most with him on both accounts, the very next time the offense got the ball after both turnovers that he was responsible for, deep pass to both. One was the 85-yard pass to Chase Roberts. The other one was, I think, a 35-yard pass to Parker Kingston.
And it was a dime down the middle of the field.
So to me, what that says is he's not worrying about the mistake. Yes, he knows he shouldn't have done it, but he's moving on and making positive plays the very next time he touches the football. That's what I love about that.
Yeah, we don't like turnovers. Nobody likes turnovers. But I'll say this, as frustrated as Kalani Sitake was, the mistakes that BYU made in that turnover category seem very easily correctable. Jason, you talked about the safety coming down and getting his hand on the ball. Like, if a safety's crashing down hard like that, that's an easy fix in film, you know? Bear knows it. He already knows. Like, I'm going to keep that. Like, if the safety's crashing down hard like that, you just keep. You don't pitch, you just keep it. Like that, you can fix that very easily. And then the interception as well. It's not like it was a super complex thing. Just one of those things. It was a bad mistake, bad choice, and you can fix that rather easily. Ball security with Jovessa Demuni, I'm sure that they'll be talking about that at length today, and the running backs room as well. You already pushed forward to the next good thing. Good thing number 3, explosive plays. The 85-yard pass to Chase Roberts is probably top of mind, but the way that we thought that there would be ample opportunities because West Virginia is one of the worst defenses in the country in giving up 30 and 40-plus yard plays coming into the game. BYU absolutely took advantage of that. It was good to see it not just happen in the run game, though, because I believe of the 8 40-plus yard plays BYU had on the season coming into the game, 6 were on the ground. So I like that the majority of these happened through the air.
Yeah.
That might be the most encouraging thing for me.
Yeah, and those are back-breaking plays, especially the fact that on the 85-yard pass, BYU was deep in its own territory, and with one throw, they were inside the 5, first and goal. So, I mean, it flips the field. They're back-breaking plays for the opponent. And look, the other part about it is now that you have multiple games with those big chunk plays, that's on film for Arizona. They know they have to guard against that. So if you're backing off a little bit because you want to stay with these receivers, all that's going to do is give more room underneath. It's also going to give more room to LJ Martin if you want to run the football. So all of it helps out every aspect of the BYU offense.
Sure. Hey, we love the explosive plays. I know that some of you are saying, oh, penalties. Yeah, penalties are a concern.
Especially false starts. Way too many false starts.
Yeah, things that you would think you can control on your own. So that, in a nutshell, is a look at the good and the bad of the West Virginia game. Our question of the day centers around that. Using 3 words or less, how would you describe your feelings about BYU's win over West Virginia? At Baden Davies 01 on X says, it was weird? ? Ron Burgundy questioning his own name, boys. It was a little bit weird.
It was a strange game. It was.
At KC_BYU_Cougar on X says, uneasy optimism. Yeah, it was unsatisfying in a way. Clearly.
Yeah.
Well, listen to Coach Atake. Just an unsatisfying win, weirdly.
Yeah.
Right? You love winning, but oof. All right, Wayne on X, Facebook, and Instagram to join that conversation.
All right, before the game, BYU number 23 in the country. After the game, when the AP released its updated poll, up 5 spots to number 18. Were you surprised the Cougs moved up 5 spots?
Yes, because in my mind, I had no trust in the voters' ability to move Penn State and Texas completely out of the poll. I thought, you know what, we're probably going to end up in a scenario where BYU's 21, they moved up 2 spots, and just in front of them are going to be like Penn State at 20 and Texas at 19, and it's going to be this big, stupid conversation. Hey, credit to the AP voters for bumping Texas and Penn State out. I was surprised that BYU moved up that much because of specifically what happened to those 2 teams, still thinking that they would somehow be in the mix ahead of BYU.
Yeah, you and I are on the exact same page. I'm surprised, but not because they don't deserve it and shouldn't have moved up the way they did. I just didn't know if the AP voters were actually going to do it. So, yeah, you and I are lockstep here.
Hey, it's time for our weekly segment where we point out the best of the week from the AP poll ballots. Jason, start us off with the Blue Goggle Voter of the Week.
All right, that goes to Sean. We're going to go with writer of the Albuquerque Journal. He doesn't have BYU ranked the highest, but jumped BYU from being unranked, so not ranked previously, according to Sean, to number 13 in his AP poll this week. That is the 2nd highest of any voter.
Okay, now on the opposite side, the didn't watch the games voter of the week. Congratulations, Kirk Kenny of the San Diego Union Tribune. You didn't watch the games, apparently. Okay, listen to this. Kirk Kenny still has Texas at number 13. Why?
Makes total sense.
Why? Highest of any voter. Vanderbilt at number 14. Huh? Second highest of any voter. Penn State at 16?
They lost to UCLA.
That's the first time an 0-4 team has beaten a top 10 team since 1985. Who did it happen against in 1985? Not important. Okay? Florida State at number 19. That one I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on Florida State. BYU at number 22. Okay, but one spot behind Utah.
How dare you?
Kirk Kenny, or didn't watch the games voter of the week. You did it!
You did it, Kirk.